All right, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really strange language puzzle. It's something you bump into like hundreds of times a day and probably never even think about. And it all boils down to just three little words.
Okay, so here it is. I am hungry. Super simple, right? What could be more basic? Well, believe it or not, these three words are the key to unlocking this whole crazy puzzle.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Look at this. John says, I am hungry, and Mary says the exact same words, I am hungry. But let's say John just ate a huge meal. For him, that statement is false. But Mary? She skipped lunch, so for her, it's totally true. Wait a second. How can the same sentence be both true and false at the same time? So that's the big question, isn't it? How can the same exact words mean two completely different things and have two different truth values? It's like a linguistic magic trick, right? And the secret? Well, it's all about a very special, very shifty group of words.
Okay, let's pull back the curtain and meet the culprits behind this whole thing. Think of them as the chameleons of language. They're pointers, they're shifters. They are called the indexicals.
So what on earth is an indexical? Well, simply put, it's a word whose meaning isn't locked down. It's not fixed. Its meaning totally depends on the context. Things like who's talking, where are they, when are they saying it. That's why they're also called context-sensitive expressions. The meaning is, well, sensitive to the context. And here's the thing. You use these words all the time. Seriously, think about it. The word I. When I say it, it means me. When you say it, it means you. Simple. Here for me is, this room. But here for you is wherever you are right now. Today is a different date tomorrow than it is right now. Words like you, now, tomorrow, this, that, they're absolutely everywhere in our speech. So, okay, how do we get a handle on this shiftiness? Is there a system to it? Absolutely. And for that, we turn to the philosopher David Kaplan. He came up with this really brilliant idea, a kind of toolkit for taking apart the meaning of these words. First up, every one of these indexical words has something called its character. You can think of the character as its permanent, unchanging rule. It's like the word's factory setting, its instruction manual. So for the word I, the character is always the same, refers to whoever is speaking. That rule, it never, ever changes. It's fixed. Okay, so that's character. The second piece of the puzzle is the content. Now, the content is what the word actually points to in any given moment, in a specific context. So while the character of I is always the speaker, the content is what changes. When I say I, the content is me. When you say I, the content is you. The rule stays the same, but the output changes. So let's see how this works in practice. Let's take our example. We've got the word I. We know its character, its rule, is the person who is speaking. Now we add the context. John is the one speaking, and boom, the rule plus the context gives us the content, John. It's a simple formula, really. Character plus context equals the final meaning, the content. And just like that, our first puzzle is solved. The sentence, I am hungry, has one single stable rule. It's character. But when you plug in different contexts, like John speaking versus Mary speaking, it spits out two totally different meanings, two different contents. So, case closed, right? We can all go home? Well, not so fast, because honestly, if that was all there was to it, this would just be a kind of neat, nerdy language fact. But the real reason these words are so important, the reason philosophers find them so fascinating, goes way, way deeper than just that.
All right, to see what I mean, let's walk through a really famous thought experiment. This one comes from the philosopher John Perry. It's a simple story, set in a supermarket, but it reveals something absolutely profound about belief, action, and what it even means to be a self.
So picture this. A guy named John is in his supermarket. He's just pushing his cart, and he happens to look up at one of those big, round security mirrors at the end of the aisle. In the reflection, he sees some shopper, and this guy has a ripped bag of sugar in his cart. It's leaving a thin, white trail of sugar all over the clean floor.
And John, he kind of sighs and thinks to himself, man, he is making a mess. He's a little annoyed. So at this point, John has a belief, a perfectly clear belief about a specific person. That guy, the messy shopper.
So John keeps shopping, right? He goes up one aisle, down another, but he keeps noticing this trail of sugar. Finally, he decides, all right, I'm going to find this guy. He follows the trail, it leads him around a corner, he looks down to trace it to its source, and oh.
He realizes the sugar trail is coming from his own cart. And in that split second, everything changes. He doesn't think, oh, the guy in the mirror is John. No, he has a completely different kind of thought. It's a sudden realization, an epiphany. He thinks, oh my God, I am making a mess.
So what happens the second he has that thought? The I thought. He acts on it. Immediately, he stops his car dead in its tracks, reaches in, and cleans up the mess. He fixes the bag. Okay, so here is the deeper puzzle. What really changed here? Think about it. The proposition John is making a mess was true the entire time. And in a sense, he already believed it, right? He believed that the guy with the torn sugar bag was making a mess. And that guy was him. So why did he only spring into action when the belief was framed with the word I? And that messy shopper story, that's what shows us why these words are so incredibly important. They aren't just quirky, shifty little words. They are absolutely fundamental to how we think, how we form beliefs, and crucially, how we act in the world. What this amazing little story shows is that believing he is making a mess is a totally different mental state from believing I am making a mess, even when he and I are the exact same person. It's not just the fact you believe, it's the perspective from which you believe it. That first-person I belief is what lights the fire for action. And this is why philosophers get so excited about this stuff. If you want to understand human action, if you want to understand what self-knowledge even is, or get a grip on the nature of the first-person perspective, what makes you, you have to get a handle on indexicals. They're key to some of the biggest questions in philosophy. So we can finally see their true job. Indexicals don't just point at stuff out there in the world. No, their most important job is to locate us right at the very center of our own world. That little word I isn't just a name tag. It's the essential gear in our minds that connects what we believe to what we do, which leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If a tiny everyday word like I can have such a profound power to literally change our actions and our reality, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple words are we using day in and day out that are shaping our world in powerful ways we haven't even noticed yet?